What is up, guys? Welcome back into the Millennial Prophet. Today we are going to be talking about how to sell on eBay, complete beginner's guide. If you've been wanting to sell on eBay but you're just not quite sure how to start, this is going to be the video for you, as we're going to cover everything from listing to shipping to sourcing, anything you can think of on how to sell on eBay. We're going to cover it in this video, so let's hop straight in. First, you're obviously going to need to create an account, and it's not as hard as like signing up for Amazon, where you have to do like a face-to-face interview with someone and it can take 2 to 3 weeks. It's very simple to sign up for eBay. You just need to enter in your basic info, your phone number, your email, your bank info, your address, just all the simple stuff. And usually it will take about a day and you'll be good to start selling. Next, we need to talk about selling limits. So when you're first starting out, you're only allowed to list up to 10 items per day with a total of $500 per month. Now you can request an increase, but if you haven't made any sales yet, they're not going to grant it. You need to make some sales first, and then you can request an increase. And the way to do this is either from the seller dashboard, where you can just scroll down and you can request a limit increase. That doesn't typically work because that's just a bot, so I like to get to a real person. So I would either call eBay and request a limit increase, or I would reach out to eBay for Business on Facebook and request a limit increase with them. But again, until you've made some sales, I wouldn't try requesting a limit increase, because no matter what way you do it, if you haven't made any sales, they're not going to grant it. These selling limits are simply in place just to prevent scammers from selling on the platform and jumping off with a bunch of money. The next thing to mention for newer accounts are account holds. So if you sell too much too fast with a newer account, eBay can actually suspend your account. But don't worry, this is just something they have in place, again, to prevent scammers. They just don't want people hopping on their platform, selling a bunch of stuff and dipping. They'll typically just ask you to confirm some information, and once you do, they'll unlock your account. Also, another thing to note is at first they will hold your payments for 21 days, but after you make some sales and prove that you're a reputable seller, they will unlock your payments immediately so that you can withdraw them whenever you want. Next thing to talk about is feedback. So buyer feedback will actually show up with your seller feedback. So if you've already bought stuff on eBay, I would use that account because it's already going to show the buyer feedback. However, this isn't the same as seller feedback, so it's actually not going to boost your listings like getting a seller feedback will, which is kind of crazy. But I made a video on this in the past with my friend who had stuff listed for like a month and hadn't sold anything, but he also didn't have any feedback as a seller to prove that he was a reputable seller. So I bought something for $1 from him, left him a positive feedback, and what do you know, he sold something later that day. So there definitely is a thing about getting your first feedback as a seller. But after that, I honestly would not let feedback worry you, as it doesn't really matter that much. As long as you're over like 95%, that's all that really matters. People aren't really going out and looking at feedback like they used to. And you're going to always have bad buyers that no matter what you do, they're going to leave you negative feedback, so don't let it get you down. Next, what supplies are you going to need? You're going to need a computer or a phone, someplace to list and ship from, a scale, a ruler or a yardstick, some poly mailers, some strapping tape, boxes. You can get a QR code when you sell something and go to the post office and have them print a label off, but I would just get a printer. You can go to Goodwill and get a cheap one. You don't need to start with a thermal printer if you want to get one of those eventually after you make some sales. That's a good way to not have to pay for ink anymore, but I wouldn't go all in until you're making sure that you're making sales. So just go to Goodwill and get a printer for like 20 bucks and you'll be good to go. I'm not going to go too in depth on these because I've made a whole video on all the shipping supplies that you need for a reselling business, so I'll link that above. Next, where do we find inventory and how do we source? So I've talked about this in a bunch of videos, but a great place to start is literally in your house. You have so much stuff that you don't use anymore, so list that up on eBay. Start pumping some sales with things that you have in your house, selling things that you simply don't use anymore. And after this, take this money to the thrift stores, the liquidation stores, and use that capital to buy up some cheap inventory. All of this will teach you how to list, how to ship, and how to source very cheap. You don't want to hop straight into retail or online arbitrage, as it's very risky, and the best way to learn the ropes is by selling cheaper items like this. If you want to see how to do this, check out my Flipping from Zero series, where I started with $0 and I flipped up over $1,000 now, simply going to bin stores and going to thrift stores, putting my money where my mouth is. Well, no money where my mouth is, because I didn't start with anything. I sold things from around my house. So I did exactly this. You don't need any money to start in reselling. Flip things from around your house, then go to the thrift stores and the bin stores. And most importantly, sell things that you enjoy and that you love. I sell hats, I sell shoes, I sell men's clothing. It's things that I'm interested in, so I'll have much more success, and it's a lot more fun, honestly. All right, how to list on eBay. I'm going to be listing an example. We're going to be listing this Santa holiday time hat here. And there's two ways you can look them up. You can either look up the UPC here, or you can just type in what the item is. I like manual searches because, as we will see, if we're trying to check the sell-through rate, Manual searches will actually bring up more results than UPC, because to pull the UPC up, the seller would have had to scan this, and people are lazy and aren't going to scan the UPCs in. So what we are going to type in is we're going to type in Santa holiday time hat for this. And yes, it will pull things other than this for this item, like shoes that have a direct code that you can type in, but this is going to pull some other stuff. But we see up top, it's got a few of these. I'm only seeing about 5 or 6 of these bad boys listed. But if we were going off of sell-through rate, it'll be this number here at the bottom. I'm going to cut back to this screen. That 338 is the number of active listings. Then we come back here to sold listings. So we're going to go to filter, sold items. And that number at the bottom, 232, again, it's going to be a little off because this isn't all this exact hat. But if you did have a UPC, you were pulling the exact item, that is what you would go off of. So what you would do is number of sold listings divided by number of active listings, and that will give you a sell-through rate. So 232 divided by, what was it, like 338? That thing's selling through at about 70%. That's just some mental math. That's probably slightly off. That's a good sell-through rate. Anything like 50% and above is usually solid. This is obviously in season. But if I'm really just looking for this hat here, like I said, I'm only seeing about, let's just say 7. I just scrolled through most of it. Let's just say there's 7, and then let's count the most recent solds of these. There's 1, there's 2. I sold a couple of these myself. There's 3. Okay, 3. So about a 50% sell-through rate. If it was 6 listed, 3 sold. I'm not even seeing mine on here. I think mine was before 90 days ago. And another thing to note is when you're looking up sell-through rate on these listings, it's only going to show 1 sold, even if they had more than 1. So like I sold like 6 of these things, but it's only going to show up in the solds once. So a lot of times, like in season on items like this, I'll click on these listings and see that the person sold like 17 of them, but it's only showing 1 of them in the solds. So that's just something to check. Sell-through rate's not 100% foolproof, but it is a great way to judge on what items to pick up. Anyways, though, once we come through here and we're looking at these, we can see they're selling around like 20 bucks. That's what I got. That's what I got for mine. We got one for 25. The ones listed were like 20 to 25. I think $20 is a good price. So this is also important when you're scrolling through these solds and the actives. You're comparing those and what their prices are to determine what the market is. So we're going to click on one. Yep, this guy's sold out of them. And we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're going to click sell one like this. This is going to take this person's listing, everything that worked for them, and we can kind of just tweak it however we want, but it saves us a lot of time from creating from scratch. So we don't want to create listings from scratch. We want to sell one like this on other listings. So we can scroll down. Everything's filled in except for condition. So we're going to click new with tags. They filled in quite a bit of item specifics. I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with any of these. Then eBay's got a new AI description, which is pretty nice. So you just click this and it will use the item description, the pictures, the tags, and actually create a pretty cool descriptive description. And then we'll just set our price. So we don't want to do an auction. Auctions aren't going to pull that much. So it's telling me a trending price right here of $15.99, but do not go off of that because that's not pulling just this hat. It is just pulling this hat. So it's not pulling the data of all of these hats. Sometimes it pulls completely random things. So that's why it was important that we compare the actives and the solds before we sell one like this to determine what the market is, which I believe is $19.99. And we're going to do free shipping. I already have that applied. We're going to talk about that more next when we really dive into shipping, about the differences between calculated shipping, flat shipping, and all of those. And then we can decide if we want to promote it or not. I'm actually not going to promote it because I don't see a need to. This item is going to sell through regardless when it is in season. And I only promote things that are high competition, and I'll promote them at 2%. I don't go any higher than that. If an item is already selling through well, then there's no reason to promote it and give eBay more money, in my opinion. So next, all we need to do is add our pictures. So we're going to, I'm actually going to take that away first. No one needs new no tags. I mean, this does have tags. Nobody needs that much in there. Actually, they don't even have Christmas in the title. So we're going to add, I don't like the all caps personally, but since he did that, I'm actually just going to keep that because I don't feel like uncapitalizing all these. I mean, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, but If I'm listing something, I'm not going to do all caps, but if they have it, I'm not going to take the time to not, because I'm trying to list stuff quick. That's why I'm doing sell one like this. This guy already sold it, so it worked for him. It should work for me. So now all we have to do is click on our pictures. And this is obviously not where I normally take my pictures. These are going to be horrible, but I'm just going to show you like the angles that I'm typically going for on a hat. Obviously, I'm going against the lights, so it's not letting off the best lights, but you get the point. I'm just taking pictures of all the sides straight on. We're not going to show that 998 tag when we actually ship it. I'll just snip that off. I actually got this for $2.50, 75% off from Walmart, but you can see typically want to take at least 3 pictures, and that's about it. Once we do that, then we can scroll down here. After those upload, we can list that bad boy, and that's it. Listing on eBay is super easy as long as you remember to sell one like this. So next, really diving into shipping. So eBay has discounted shipping rates from the retail stores of UPS, FedEx, and USPS. So never go to those stores and pay their retail rates. You're going to save 2 to 3 times your money just shipping straight on eBay. They offer us these discounted shipping rates for using their platform, so we might as well use them and not pay the retail rates. So as we just talked about, when you're listing the item, you have to decide if you want to do free shipping, calculated shipping, or flat shipping. Whichever option you choose, you should know how much the item is going to cost beforehand to help build that cost into your price. And you can do this by using the eBay shipping calculator, which is a free tool available to all sellers on their website. I will link that below as well. It's very simple. You can plug in weight and dimensions and then 2 zip codes. So I like to put in the worst case scenario zip code just to build that price in. So I'm in Ohio, so I put in a California zip code, the weight and dimensions, and it'll pump out all of the rates and exactly how much it will cost to ship. So if I'm building in rates to California and I end up selling it to Illinois, then I'm able to pocket even more profit. But if it's not profitable for me to ship the item from Ohio to California, then I'm going to leave it, because California is an option to buy my items, and for some reason California buys a lot of my items. I wish I could exclude them because it costs a lot to ship from Ohio to California. But anyways, it's super important to make sure that you do this before you buy your items, to make sure that you don't lose money on them. I've seen so many new sellers that don't think about shipping an item until they actually sell the item. You need to be thinking about shipping the item before you even buy the item to make sure that you can still make money. So either way you do it, free shipping, flat shipping, buyer calculated shipping, you need to view it as a total price. As I just showed you, that hat was trending around $19.99 based on the actives and the solds. So if you list it at $19.99 plus shipping, it may sell. We saw that one sell at like $24.99 plus shipping. But if there's other active listings out there at $19.99 free shipping, why in the world would they buy yours at $19.99 plus shipping? So you just need to view it as a total price and build those shipping costs in before you buy it. It's also important to note that there's not one way to ship something on eBay. I know people want this. They get used to this if you're used to shipping on Mercari or Poshmark, where every time something sells, Poshmark sends you a priority label. You ship everything the same way. I could sell the same pair of shoes 7 times and ship them 3 different ways, because it all depends on where it's going. These rates are all location based. So something going to California might be cheaper to ship UPS or FedEx, where something here closer would go USPS Ground Advantage, or something in Florida might go priority. So that's why it's super important to build that cost in, because you don't know which service that you're using to ship. You decide that after the item sells. So if you are going to charge shipping, I would recommend charging USPS Ground Advantage. That way, if that one's not the cheapest, you can always upgrade the service or go lateral to a UPS or a FedEx. Or if priority is cheaper, then you can do priority, because that's going to be faster than Ground Advantage. If you select priority and have the buyer pay priority, you have to ship it priority or another 2 to 3 day service, which could really hose you if it ends up going far like California for me. I know this is extremely confusing. I have a whole like 20-minute video that I'll link above that's just on eBay shipping. I would love to go super in on it in this video, but this video would end up being like 45 minutes and I don't want that. I'm just trying to do a brief overview on how to start selling on eBay and really hit on every topic. Lastly, also check out Pirate Ship if you haven't. It is a free shipping service and you can import your eBay listings in there as well. Things over a pound are actually cheaper shipping with them typically, unless it's going really far. Like anything on my side of the country is typically like 50 cents to a dollar cheaper to send pirate ship, unless it's under a pound, and then it's exactly the same rates on pirate ship and eBay. But just something to note that you may want to compare some rates between pirate ship and eBay. What I did when I first started out is I literally just bought things that were under 1 pound because those all do ship the same way. I started by just selling a lot of hats, and it was super easy because everything went USPS first class. However, first class has now merged with Parcel Select. I know I'm just throwing more and more at you. So they are now USPS Ground Advantage. So anything under 1 pound, there's no option. You're sending USPS Ground Advantage. Super easy. It's between $3.50 and $6.50. So if you're just starting out, maybe just start with things under 1 pound like I did. It makes it super simple. You know exactly how things are going to ship, and you can really build that into your cost. I know I just threw a bunch at you, but let's show you guys an example of how to ship something. So as an example, I sold this shirt, so I'm going to show you guys how to ship it. So you can do this on your phone as well, but I like to do it on desktop. I like to do all my shipping on desktop. You're going to come into your orders, to that order. We can see we've got the shirt here. Click Purchase Shipping Label. Now, this is when we are going to put it on the scale. See how much it weighs. So it weighs 6.5 ounces. Let's see what it weighs with the poly mailer. With the poly, it's going to be under 8 ounces. So for things under 1 pound, your thresholds are 4, 8, 12, and 15.9. So you want to try to get it under those. So this one is 8, so that's perfectly fine. We can see we've got 8 in here, and we're going to put the dimensions of the poly mailer, 12, 10, and then the thickness of how much it's going to be. So it's usually about, we'll say 2 inches. It doesn't really matter for things that are first class, or I should say Ground Advantage. As we can see, we've got USPS Ground Advantage, $4.15. If we were shipping something over a pound, that's where we would expand these, and you can see all of our options. We've got priority there, ground, FedEx, all of those, but we can see because it is under 1 pound, our best option is going to be this $4.15. So all you'll do is come down here, purchase label, and then you'll print that off. Next, returns. So if you've sold on Amazon or you've heard about the nightmare of Amazon, you have to accept returns on there, and you can get eaten up on there pretty fast, paying shipping both ways. But on eBay, I think a false narrative is that you have to accept free returns. You do not. I think I might be in the minority here, but I don't allow free returns. I had over 7,000 transactions last year on eBay and only had 15 returns. And this was typically because I made a mistake. I sent the wrong item. The item was damaged in transit or something like that. I have returns turned off, so I can deny all returns unless they open it for like damaged or not described, like I just said. So I deny returns all the time. People are opening returns for doesn't fit, things like that. That's not my fault you don't know your size. I provided the measurements for you. I shouldn't have to eat those costs. If you want to allow returns, you do you. Once you get a few stupid things back, I guarantee you're going to turn them off. And I personally don't think it affects sales at all. Go watch my What's Sold videos. I don't have any problem making sales, and I don't allow returns. Next, being a top rated seller. So what is a top rated seller? This means that you meet all of these requirements. So you have an eBay account that's been active for at least 90 days, 100 or more transactions, and $1,000 in the last 12 months. A defect rate less than or equal to 0.5%. Cases closed without seller resolution less than or equal to 0.3%. A late shipment rate less than or equal to 3%. And 5 or fewer late shipments. And tracking uploaded within your handling time. So these are a lot of requirements to meet, but honestly, it's not that hard if you're just shipping your things out on time and handling your cases and everything when they're opened. Like, just stay on top of it, because once you become top rated, you will see a slight increase in your sales, and eBay will give you a little bump in the algorithm. So being top rated is very important, and once you get that, you don't want to lose it. Lastly, I want to end on how to have success on eBay. So last year, I did over $300,000 in gross sales among eBay, Amazon, and Mercari, all three platforms. Mainly eBay though. eBay is about 75% of my business. So I wanted to discuss a couple of the key things that have helped me grow my business to this level. Number one, sound like a broken record because I say this in every one of my videos, listing every single day. A lot of people have tried to debunk that listing every day doesn't help you in the algorithm. Well, it's helped me. Listing every day has seemed to boost my sales, and I've been at it for like 3 years now, and the sales just keep snowballing. So, listing every day shows eBay that you are active. And I've even seen some people in my group say the same thing. They're like, I didn't believe it, but I started listing every day, and now my sales are going crazy. Next one, keep your buy costs low. Like I said, go to those thrift stores, go to those garage sales, go to those bin stores, find that cheap inventory like I'm doing and flipping from zero. That's the best way to scale up a business from nothing and get inventory for cheap. I've even added that to my normal business. I could be doing retail and online all day long, but it's actually kind of fun to get that cheap inventory and get entire bags of stuff from thrift stores or liquidation stores. And you can really grow your inventory fast that way. Next, make good buys. This seems pretty obvious, but I see a lot of people hop into reselling and they buy stuff just to buy stuff. Don't do that. Make sure that you're buying items that have a good sales history, a good sell through rate, to ensure you're able to sell those items for a profit. And lastly, have patience. eBay is not a business that has grown overnight, and you cannot expect to sell everything right away. I see so many people list 5 items and they're like, I haven't sold anything in a week. Well, guess what? I have 2,300 eBay listings and I sell between 15 and 30 items per day. Yeah, I have a lot of listings and not everything sells right away. And that's about on par because, on average, if you're buying goods selling through inventory, you can expect to sell 1 item per day per 100 listings. This is a very raw formula and completely depends on the items you're buying and the categories that you're buying. So, again, don't just buy stuff to get up to 100 to say, Adam said that if I bought 100 items that I would sell 1 item per day. It's only if you're buying goods selling through inventory. eBay is not a get rich quick game. It's going to take time to build this business. But once you get that snowball rolling and you have that inventory, the consistent sales will follow. So this about wraps up this video. I really appreciate everyone so much for watching. If you're interested in joining my reselling group, you can check that out. First link in the description for daily online and in-store leads. If you have any questions on eBay or anything, feel free to leave them down below and I'll try to answer them when I get some time. There's money to be made everywhere, guys. Let's go get it. Thank you for watching The Millennial Prophet.